Former CEO of Prasa, Lucky Montana, is continuing his testimony today at the state capture inquiry. Yesterday, he defended many of the decisions he made while at the rail agency and is accused former Prasa chair Popo Molefe of leading a crusade against him. For an update now on the midday view, I'm joined by eNCA reporter Kaya Khumalo. Kaya, good afternoon. We've seen Mr. Montana once again stressing that he had Prasa's interest at heart. Tell us more.
Well, that's right, Braden. So that's a standpoint that certainly does maintain even today. But also it goes as far as saying that certain individuals have been trying to give certain links to him. So there's a person by the name of Roy Moodley, one of the beneficiaries from Prasa, that once again that has been really just, seemingly been so close to him. But once again, Mr. Montana is denying that. He's simply saying that, of course, this is based on the affidavit of the former Prasa's legal employee. That's, of course, Ms. Ngoyi. So that is really at the center of his testimony today, where he's talking about so many issues that he had to undertake as the CEO of Prasa, including, of course, the very massive deal around advertising. So they had to put out a tender in 2010, and, of course, certain companies were benefiting from Prasa. And he gave an example where he was saying companies such as Prime Media would get about 300 million rand, and Prasa only got about 70 million rand. So hence the need to go out on a tender. But once again, Braden, let's take a listen to Mr. Montana elaborating further.
Well, Chair, it was not I never gave such an instruction. There was a draft that was submitted to me on how the relationship between Umjanji and Strawberry was going to be structured on our portfolio. So I'd written notes to say, no, it can't be dealt with in that way because we'll lose money as Prasa. And Chair, I want to make I think that after you present, I want to make a more detailed response to what Mrs. Ngoyi is saying, because the facts are being somehow twisted a bit to present a particular picture. But I think let's distinguish the facts first, and then before I make my comment.
Now, Kaya, what about the forensic expert, Professor Cecil Lawrence, who appeared about the ESCOM matter?
Well, that's right, Braden. So there's a controversial email that was sent to ESCOM, and the allegation is that, of course, the Gupta, handman, that's, of course, Mr. Salim Essa, was behind penning that particular email. And also, more importantly, it was talking about the suspension of the key ESCOM executives. So he was really just telling the Commission about his expertise and really verifying the information. But, of course, there are some aspects that still do need to be confirmed. So, of course, Professor Lawrence now will have to go back to the laptop of Ms. Daniels, who was the company secretary at the time, and, of course, Mr. Koza, who was the head of ESCOM. So there's quite a lot of outstanding documents and evidence to try and understand the originator of that particular email. But also, most importantly, during the course of the day, Braden, we're going to hear once again from the Inspector General of Intelligence, Dr. Dinter, to come and testify, especially because yesterday he really made quite a lot of startling revelations, including the very just concern that were expressed by the ministers of the security cluster, who were concerned about the content of his testimony, especially given the sensitivity of the information, especially because they need to declassify certain documents. But of course, he's going to adduce more testimony before the inquiry.
Okay, thank you very much. The Kaya Khumalo at the state capture inquiry. Now, South